What's up? Today we're gonna go for the record. I don't think I've recorded any chess video covering chess opening mistakes played by over 130 million players. That is absolutely crazy. And that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna start from the number 5 in our list, going all the way up to the number 1, the most common chess opening mistake of all played by 90 million players. Alright, so there we go. Coming in number 5 in our list is the one where after we enter this variation with knight f3, knight c6, and white goes for the Ponziani opening, black plays a standard move bishop c5, which in this case certainly backfires as white was getting ready to play pawn to d4, and with this bishop on c5, black is only helping white to launch their attack. Nevertheless, bishop c5 is pretty common. It's been played by over 3 million players in the Lichess database, and therefore you gotta know how to punish that, because it's actually kind of an opening trap, although it's really weird to call this an opening trap because black actually trapped themselves. Okay, so after bishop c5, naturally you play pawn d4, taking advantage of this exposed bishop, and you're also hitting this pawn on e5, which pretty much forces black to trade. Here, they move their bishop to b4, and after you cover your king with the knight to c3, black realizes that there is one more challenge coming their way. You're gonna push pawn to d5, kicking this knight away from c6, pushing it backward. And it can go to e5 because this square is also controlled by you. For that reason, many of your opponents will play pawn to d6, preparing for their knight to jump to the center square instead of moving backwards. But knight e5 fails once again, this time due to little tactics. Queen a4 with a double attack to the king and bishop. This way you not only got a positional advantage, but you're simply winning a bishop for nothing, thus achieving a totally winning position. Coming in number 4 in our list is the fried liver attack. This is a fairly known opening variation, and yet almost 7 million players fell into this opening trap. Here after white goes knight g5, hitting black's f7 pawn, it's natural for black to cover that by playing pawn to d5, and after an exchange your opponent naturally wants to recapture, although that is a losing error. But it's hard to foresee it unless black is prepared. So knight takes d5 fails to pretty nasty tactics, knight takes f7. Nothing really indicated that black is in big trouble, and yet it is the case. So after knight takes f7, we're calling black's king out, and after it captures, white follows up with queen to f3 with a double attack to the king, as well as the knight here on d5. And black can play differently here, but in every case their king is in trouble, and you're highly likely to get your knight back on the next move. For example, sometimes black instinctively hide their king on the back rank, thinking that this is the safest square, but in fact it is the opposite, because in this variation, after bishop takes d5, this is nearly a checkmate. Black can delay it for one move, something like this, but this is the checkmate anyway. Coming in number 3 is one of my favorite opening traps, and it's not really even a trap, it's just an opening variation that kind of provokes your opponent to play wrong. Here after you play knight to c3, a lot of your opponents will play bishop c5 just because it's a standard opening move. In fact, 12 million players played it that way, and somehow that exposes black to your little but effective tactics with the move knight takes e5. Here's the trick. After your opponent recaptures, now with the move pawn to d4, you regain a piece, and very often that also confuses your opponents. They don't know how to react, they react badly, and they lose, so that's what you want, right? So after d4, they see that you're going to capture one of their pieces, and they think to themselves, okay, at least I'm going to get a pawn for my piece. So they capture here. Now you recapture with the queen attacking this knight, and you already achieved quite a lot. You've got 2 bishops, you dominate in the middle of the board, you're ahead in development, you're attacking the knight, we have a lot of positional advantages. But on top of that, this knight is attacked. Very often they're going to move it back, for example knight to c6, making things worse, because now after queen takes g7, you also grab this pawn on g7, you attack the rook, their king side is destroyed, and you got a totally winning game. By the way, if you enjoyed this, I've got a dedicated video where I cover this particular opening tactics and how you can use it in different openings, so if you're interested, you may check out that video later. Alright, so who are the top 2 winners? Coming in number 2 in our list is black's move pawn to h6 in this position. Being scared of your fried liver attack, many of your opponents would wish to play pawn h6 just to prevent you from doing so, but this move is kind of slow and it allows you to seize the initiative. I'm going to show you an interesting way for you to punish this seemingly insignificant error of black. So first off, because this move was kind of slow, you want to open up the game because that enables you to start attacking. So first you want to play pawn to d4, challenging black's center. Now after they recapture, here instead of taking over here, you play another smart move, you castle kingside. And now black often finds themselves in trouble because they don't want to go really knight f6, because after that you can push your pawn forward to e5 and drive this knight away. That doesn't feel good for black, so they dislike this move. And they're going to often play bishop to c5 because that feels like a good developing move, and also that defends this pawn on d4, therefore you can't get it back that easily. But that's exactly what we're hoping for, because now you play pawn to c3, nearly forcing black to capture it, because if not, you're going to capture yourself and attack the bishop. That's going to be perfectly great for you. So c3 forces black to trade it off, and they certainly expect you to recapture with your knight, but instead, here comes our preparation bomb. Bishop takes f7. This way, we open up the king, and after king takes, it turns out that it was not really a sacrifice, because with the move queen to d5, thanks to this double attack, we're going to get our piece back on the next move, but opponent's king is going to be suffering for the rest of the game. For example, after the king goes back, king f8, we can now grab the bishop, check to the king, and now at the end of this forcing line, we can see that the material balance is equal, but you can see the great difference in positions of your and your opponent's king. Your king is completely safe here on g1, it's castled, but opponent's king is exposed here, it cannot castle anymore because it made moves already, and therefore black's going to be in a long-term trouble. At some point of the game, you're going to break open in the middle of the board with a move pawn e5, start attacking the king, and again, black have very high risk of losing this game quickly in an opening. So here comes the winner. Coming in number 1 on our list is black playing pawn to d6 here, known as the Philidor defense. And a lot of your opponents who are not really that well versed with an opening theory will wish to play this move pawn to d6 just to solidify their position, get rid of any potentially complicated openings, and just play safe, okay? But against that, we've also got a really strong continuation that is highly likely to bring you an instant win right out of the opening. So here comes the move bishop to c4. And what it does is that it makes black worried about their f7 square. So black realizes that, for example, if they play a casual move knight f6, then after knight g5, that doesn't look good for black, right? These pawns in trouble. That's why, instead of knight f6, very often your opponents will wish to play pawn h6 to stop this move from happening, knight to g5. And that results in a position kind of similar to the variation we discussed previously. Black is playing a little bit slow, making a lot of pawn moves, playing checkers instead of chess, right? And you can take advantage of that. So you, first of all, as always, want to break open the center. So we'll play pawn to d4 after black captures, because if not, you're going to capture yourself. Then you play once again these castling moves. So we don't care about these pawns that much. We just want to finish our development quickly and rush into our effective attack. Here, most of your opponents are going to play knight to f6, another trivial move, and now we keep opening the center with the move pawn e5. Black's king got stuck there in the middle of the board. We want to expose that. So after pawn takes, now knight takes e5, and here comes a real blackness for black. So knight takes e5 anyway, found a way to attack this weak square f7. And there is no easy way for black to cover that. The only meaningful move is bishop e6, which most of your opponents will play, and so far it looks not that bad for black after this exchange. But you've got a sneaky move queen to d3, and here comes this nearly checkmate, and there is nothing black can oppose really, so you're going to play that after whatever black plays here. Okay, so for example, if they play queen e7 or whatever, you're going to play queen g6 check to the king. If queen e7, for example, okay, they prepare that escape path, but queen comes to g6 with check to the king anyway, forces the king to move, and here after knight f7, this is a fork to the king and the rook, thus you're going to win the rook on the next move, and black's king is still exposed. So that's how you win with this, although it's not a completely forcing sequence, but your opponents are highly likely to get right into it. At least these are the most common moves of black. Regarding the video I've mentioned previously with the most common opening error as well as tactical motif that you can exploit, here it is. You may click the link over there and check it out. And if you want to level up your positional chess understanding overall, you may wish to attend my free masterclass by clicking the link over there. Thank you very much for watching. Talk soon.